Welcome to the Virtual Campfire. My name is Sydney Williams, author and founder of Hiking My Feelings, and I'm so glad that you're here. The Virtual Campfire started as a replacement for what we were missing on the trail during the pandemic in 2020. We wanted to be sharing stories and listening to music and having conversations about hard topics at the end of a long day, shared in some of the most beautiful places in the world. In the absence of that, the Virtual Campfire was born, and 50-something episodes later, we're still here. And this season, we're doing things a little bit differently. Over the course of the next few episodes, we're going to be sharing stories from people who have been through our 12-week online program called Blaze Your Own Trail to Self-Love. Now, if you've been watching the Virtual Campfire or listening to the podcast from the beginning, you'll know that this program was launched after our initial 20 episodes of the Virtual Campfire. This program took everything that we had planned to do on the road in 2020 on my book tour through the US and Canada, workshops, retreats, overnights, group hikes, all of those things, and put them into a 12-week program that was available online so we could stay connected during the pandemic. Now we are getting ready to start our 4th class of this program on August 21st, and we couldn't think of a better way to get people hyped up about it, bring awareness to what we're doing, and share the stories of how this program has impacted real human lives than to bring on some of the people that have been through the program themselves. So I hope you have a nice, comfortable seat. I hope you have a beverage of choice, maybe a cozy blanket, maybe a journal. You never know what you're going to hear that you might want to jot down. So have a seat, sit back, relax. Unless you're driving, then keep doing what you're doing. But we hope you enjoy the Virtual Campfire. Thank you so much for being here.
I'm hiking my feelings, working with all the natural healing. We are the makers of vibes in our community, working to set myself free while I'm hiking my feelings. Hiking my feelings.
All right. Okay, hi, welcome to the Campfire. My name is Sydney Williams. I am your host, also the author and founder of Hiking My Feelings. And today, I have a very special guest.
My name's Derek,
Yes, it is!
aka Man of the Forest.
Yes, it is.
My last name is Waldmann, if anybody wanted to know.
And where does that come from?
It's German for forest man, so that's actually where my artist name came from, Man of the
Your
Forest.
stage name?
Yes. I figured I should come up with something that kind of held close to heritage, and growing up in Colorado and kind of living in a garden my whole life around my parents, I kind of wanted to do something that was nature-based, and I thought Man of the Forest would be very appropriate.
I dig it.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think, Barry, where did we first hear about Derek?
From K-Ball.
That's right. We were hiking,
Yeah.
and he was like, I got this friend.
But I had already been following you on Instagram.
Okay, so thank you for the update. So the story goes, we became aware of you backpacking with Mr. Bong, but Barry was already following you on Instagram. And I remember him saying, yeah, it's like this guy, he's a fan of the music, he's like really good on violin, and Man of the Forest. And like that was the conversation. And then we got to actually hang out on Catalina last
we did.
year. So if you guys don't know, which by now you should, Jesus H, we host a retreat series called Hike and Heal, and we do one on Catalina Island. And last year, well, it's a collaboration between Hiking My Feelings and Rebel and Muse, which is Melanie and Kalea Wassman.
Amazing
And
people.
yeah, like some of the dopest. And then we went to Catalina last year in March, and we had like this last minute dropout. So I was like, hey, Kevin, would you like to come? And he was like, yes, I would. And then we did it again where we invited Kevin to like be K-Bong to be on the thing last year in October. And then we had a spot open up, and I asked him if he knew anybody that was awesome, like pay it forward, bring a new artist. And here come you.
Wow. That
Yeah.
was a very
Talk to me
special
about what
opportunity.
happened. So like K-Bong texts you and he's like, sup, you want to go hike across Catalina? Like how did that come up to you?
Well, we were actually, I think we were embarking on one of our first tours together. And I think it was our first tour actually. And K-Bong was like, hey dude, I'm going to Catalina Island with Hiking My Feelings. And I had heard about you guys previously and all the work that you guys had done. The book that you wrote, I was very intrigued by what you guys were doing. And yeah, he kind of just invited me to come, and I was happily excited to come. I've never been to Catalina before. And it just seemed like a really rad excursion to get out and express yourself through hiking and meet new people and open yourself up to new experiences. And that's exactly what it turned out to be, like coming out and seeing a place I'd never seen before, meet everybody for the first time except Kevin. I knew Kevin already, but yeah, it was just such an amazing time getting out, and like everybody had a purpose out there, which was really cool. Everybody had something to work out, and I just really found that trip was mind-opening to see how connective people could be without even knowing each other at all. And you guys did such an amazing job of cultivating togetherness and community with fresh faces and nobody knowing each other for the first time. It was a really great experience.
Well, I'll take that compliment. Thank you. But before you came to Catalina, like you lived an entire lifetime.
I did.
Probably multiple lifetimes before we met. So I'm
many I can't remember.
curious, what was life like leading up to October of last year? You can start wherever you want. Like, tell me a little bit about Derek and the things you've experienced in your life.
Well, I've been playing violin since I was 6 years old, and grew up a huge music fan. I've always just tried to stay as close to the scene as possible and really just try to be, from a fan's perspective, as close to into the music as I could be. I always kind of felt like violin was an outsider instrument, and I didn't really see an opportunity for it to work out early on in the stages of me being a music fan. I've always been a huge reggae fan. Bob Marley, I found him when I was 7 years old, and I just was hooked from the beginning. And yeah, basically as the years went on, I found Stick Figure. I met them in Costa Rica randomly and kind of discovered their music, and I found this new space for me to play violin. And I thought, like, if there's any band or any music that I could play to, Stick Figure and that sound that they were cultivating was exactly what I wanted to be a part of. And so I just kept going to shows and becoming more intimately involved with the scene, and met K-Bong many times, many shows, and really got to know him and how much light he was putting out, the smiles that he was giving and receiving. It was such a beautiful exchange of energy. And Kevin's always been like a huge figure for me, like a kind of role model for me to what I wanted to exude on stage if I ever made it. And yeah, as the years passed, I just kind of met more people, and the ball kept rolling to where I would introduce myself as a violinist, and it would kind of excite people at the beginning. But I feel like when I met Uplift, that was really where my opportunity opened up, to where he gave me a song to play on, and that song was Hotep, which was actually released 2 years ago to this day.
Whoop whoop! Happy anniversary.
Yes. And that was such a beautiful beginning for me to get into the scene and people to hear how violin could be integrated into music. So yeah, I mean, one thing led to another, and the snowball just kind of grew to where now I'm performing with K-Bong, with Uplift, and also Von Aaliyah. And all these people are so close. Like, the community is big, but it's so tight in reggae music. So just really like having that opportunity for everybody to kind of like share the experience together was really special for me. And for me to be able to play with multiple people has always been my dream, and it's happening now. So yeah, I'm very grateful for like just the path that I've led, and all the people that I've met along the way, and just how connective and loving this scene is. Yeah, it's a really special place.
Heck yeah, it is. That's why I love it. So before all of this, like, you're in with now you're friends with musicians you just like love going to see. What was the interaction? Because you mentioned there were several times where you like met these people and you're like interacting, and then like at what point did it change from you were a fan and now you're touring with K-Bong? Like, using him as an example, because you said that you met him multiple times. Like, what was the impetus that led to that opportunity? Is there one?
It was really, I went out to this show in Utah where K-Bong was playing, and it was like a tiny hot springs that he was playing at. And I've been to so many K-Bong shows. Bring my family out. Like, it's just such a great experience. And yeah, I never really played with a band before, so it was always like kind of intimidating for me to be like, to play in a band. I've always done it in solo settings. So Kevin asked me to like jump on stage for a song, and as I was warming up on stage with him, he just kind of invited me to play the whole set with him.
That's rad.
And basically, after that opportunity, I played the whole set at this intimate little hot springs called Mystic Hot Springs in Utah.
I've heard of that place.
It's legendary.
They have the most like bomb bathtub you've ever seen in your life.
And it's a very calcium-heavy hot spring, so they like all this mineral buildup is happening everywhere. It's such a cool place.
Sick.
But after that show, he kind of just invited me to play with him in the band, and I'd already been performing with Alific. Me and Alific's first show was with K-Bong, Johnny Cosmic, and The Movement.
Okay.
So I think like all those little circles of connectivity really tied together to give me this like wholesome experience to be able to be in K-Bong's band. And yeah, just like if you just keep following the music with passion and love and an open heart, I think whatever you do in life with that approach, it's going to get you to where you go with patience and, just keep believing, but just keep at it with an open heart and patience.
So did you go to the Utah show planning to be on stage, or was that a happenstance kind of thing?
I brought my violin just in case I would be able to play.
But you hadn't been asked before you got there.
But I was invited to play one song.
That is so dope.
I thought that one opportunity was like everything to me. I was like, wow, I got to play like one song with K-Bong. Like, this is going to be the coolest thing that's ever happened in my life. And then it just led to playing the whole show. And then next time he was on tour, he invited me out to play with him. So it was like, just that little doorway opened up a huge opportunity for me.
And was that your first tour with a band?
That was my first tour with a band. Yeah, I'd play one-off shows with Alific, and that one show with K-Bong, but then I also had met Vaughn Aaliyah, and we played this little backyard show in Colorado together where she did a solo performance, and it just so happened that Vaughn Aaliyah and K-Bong were touring together.
Yeah.
And so Vaughn and K-Bong both invited me to be on the tour in both of their bands at the same time.
I love it.
Which is such a crazy coincidence. Like, the chances are so astronomical. So I was like so grateful for that happened, and Vaughn Aaliyah had just dropped her album, and K-Bong just dropped his album, Let Love Lead, and Little Kahuna. And it was a very exciting time because it was just like this like foundation of new beginnings for all of us. K-Bong had never had a violinist in the band, so it was like, what is this going to sound like? Like,
right.
A whole new dynamic, and grateful that it's all worked out.
Yeah, I'd say. So we met on Catalina. Well, you have like this key phrase that you said is something about something in lift and uplift.
Oh, it's a gift to uplift.
It's a gift to uplift.
Yes.
Educate the masses, Derek.
Yes.
Tell them what a gift to uplift means, because I heard that and I was like, all right, we're amongst kind company here.
I came up with that saying when I was recording at Great Stone with K-Bong on a brand new track that's going to be on his new album coming out in the summer of 2022. And I don't know, I was in the studio and I was just thinking about how we were all together and how everything that we're doing is kind of lifting each other up, and uplifting is a word that I actually got from Kaleo. I met him at Closer to the Sun, and I introduced myself and I was like, dude, I'm just such a huge fan. And he was like, the key is to uplift, brother. And it just like something super simple and like, and then that ended it. And I just kept thinking of that word uplift. And then at Great Stone, I was like, man, it's just like such a, I kind of came on this one. I was like, it's such a gift to uplift with you guys. And that's what the music's all about, is uplifting other people through sonic vibration, and the message in the music is uplifting as well. So yeah, I just kind of like had that message pop up, and I do have an idea for a song that's going to be called A Gift to Uplift as well. Yes. But yeah, it's just kind of a key phrase that I've kind of held on to. It's a key in life that we can all utilize. Like, if we all lift each other up every day through small actions, it'll make the world a better place.
Yeah. I'll say. Okay, damn. All right, Derek bringing the heavy shit. I like it. Okay, so we started this show in 2020 as a result of the pandemic. We were like, who would we, if we were out doing everything we wanted to do in 2020, which was like retreats and workshops and see everybody, what would we want to do? Well, the part we missed most was sitting around the campfire and telling stories. So, in the spirit of this virtual campfire, which is right here, that you cannot see.
So warm.
So warm. Like, I'm borderline sweating.
My goodness.
do you have any stories where you feel super connected to a place or you found healing in nature that you'd like to share?
Well, I mean, Catalina Island was definitely a key moment for me to be on that adventure with you guys and playing with K-Bong and Kaleo from Pepper around the actual campfire. That was really connected for me. I've always connected with nature. My parents managed a garden center when I was a kid, so I've always kind of had my hand in the earth and felt super connected with the essence of the spirit of life that we have on this planet. And I've always had like these like solo retreats out in nature with friends or loved ones. But as a community, I'd never really felt something like powerful like that because I've always been like strumming, playing by myself or something like that. So to have everybody like really appreciate it and have gratitude for what I was doing and to be able to expand my sound with 2 other gifted people, it just made everything so dynamic and explosive, and it really lifted up what we all were doing. Because if it's just, K-Bong, he's amazing by himself. And then you add Kaleo, and it's like, are you kidding me? And then you add a little violin in there, and it's like, what is going on right now?
That's what everybody said. That's what I said. That's what the repeaters said. That's what Barry said. We're like, at one point, for everybody that wasn't there, sorry you missed it. But at one point, Barry was like, you're scraping our hearts. And it's just like, so we would stand there, and like every time Derek would like look over at us, we were like, please just pan the campfire so you can see how much you're moving me.
Yes,
it's so much.
Yes. I remember we played Pure Imagination, or I played Pure Imagination for you guys, and like, it's like a Willy Wonka song, but the message of that song is absolutely beautiful. And sometimes it's like little reminiscent things like that where you play something, it brings back a heartfelt memory. And I feel like that Catalina trip was probably one of the most expansive times in my mind to open up to new things. My mission on that trip, I know you guys do something really cool where you guys have like something that you want to maybe accomplish, or that you have like this goal or something that you want to tackle. And mine was self-love, and just even thinking about what I wanted was a huge key to open my mind up, and then to think about how I was going to get it. You guys really like carved this path for people to think on a deeper level about what are we doing every day? Like, what is my goal every day to be doing here? And like, what do I need to work on? And you guys did an amazing job cultivating that experience out there.
Would you say maybe that we helped blaze a trail to self-love?
I would say definitely blazed with the hottest heat I've ever seen.
So that's fancy that you say that,
Fuego.
because this season of the Virtual Campfire is all about blaze your own trail to self-love. So if you're watching, I'm going to talk to you now. Listen, we got another class starting on August 21st, and you should be there because all the things that we're talking about, whether you know it or not, because you haven't taken the course yet, we cover all this. So like if you're thinking, I'd like to visualize what my best possible self could look like, then we've got a literal exercise where you visualize your best possible self. You track it every day for a week. You visualize actually, do you want to do this exercise?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so best personal self, or your best possible self. We've got 3 domains: personal, professional, and social.
Okay.
So the trick is you visualize your best personal self, and you don't have to do all 3 every day, but you like visualize your best personal self for like 5 minutes in one of these sections: personal, professional, and social. And then you do that every day and you track it. And then like when you, I feel like, I'm just going to spoil this for everybody. This dude was like, hey, this was October 2021. He's like, I think I want to move to San Diego. I feel like that would be a good move for my music career. In case you guys didn't notice, we're in San Diego. We're sitting in this dude's backyard. And he moved here in what, January?
In January,
So
yep.
End of October. So November, December, less than 3 months, homie made it happen. Now, here's the thing. Has he been thinking about that for a while? Yeah, probably. Had he done it up until that point? He hadn't. But what he just said was he had the opportunity to like think about self-love and what he wanted to do and then how to make it happen. And now I'm sitting here interviewing him in person because I would have had to do this if he still lived in Colorado on Zoom.
I think the
But
keyword,
here we are.
the keyword with that too is cultivate. Like, cultivate is You're giving it a chance to grow. You're like sowing the seed with intention, and you're thinking about what you want to cultivate. Like we're all growing a plant in our life right now, you know, metaphorically speaking, but like what plant do we want to grow and how tall do we want it to get and what fruit do we want to produce out of it? Yeah, cultivating is like a huge word because you're intently setting a thought to what you want. And I think you guys gave a great opportunity for that, because sometimes we get lost in meandering down a path in life and we don't know what our goals are, what our intentions are. And when you actually sit there and think about what you want and then go achieve it, and having that opportunity, that simple opportunity to like cultivate it and water that seed and know what you want is so key. So I'm so thankful that I ran into you guys, because you guys have been a huge part of me like thinking about the goals and then realizing the potential and how you can get there.
Well, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. I'm interested to hear about what is your vision for your best possible self now that you've gotten to San Diego? Because like you lived a whole life before I met you. So we're going to assume that like you got there, you arrived, now you're in San Diego. Like you've had this vision of like being somewhere where maybe, I don't know if San Diego was always the vision, but like somewhere where you just would have more access to go play more shows or be closer to the people you want to collaborate with. Like now that you're here, have you had time to like be psyched about where you're at, but also like, okay, I accomplished this goal. What's the like future look like, or what are you hoping for?
Yeah, well, first I've definitely, I think sometimes when you arrive at the next destination, it's always a surprise for a second, and you kind of look around.
Thank you can we snap for that? Like, let's acknowledge that. That's a good part.
Yeah, it's like you kind of in a sense of wonderment and amazement of where you are and how you got there. And also you're kind of like a little bit maybe sad or reminiscing on where you were before, because there's a sense of comfortability of where you were before, and now where you're at is uncomfortable and unknown. So I think I'm getting into like feeling more of a grounded state right now of where I'm at and what I'm trying to accomplish, because I've had this dream of coming to California and being closer to the music, being closer to the scene. Not to say that Denver doesn't have it, but California, specifically with reggae and the people that I play with, everybody's out here and the energy is so tight. And yeah, I think like I've definitely like set these goals to collaborate with different artists, to come out with my own content, to continue touring with the bands that I play with K-Bong, Vonalia, and Olific, and keep lifting up their music with my sound. So keeping that all going while working a job can be like, you know, a bit daunting at times, but yeah, I definitely have like, I would say I just want to keep lifting up other people's music as much as I can, and then find time for my own music and creative content is crucial too, because you can give as much as you can to everybody else, but you got to make sure that you still give to yourself at the same time. There's always like that like metaphor, like if the plane drops the oxygen mask, like you got to put your own oxygen mask on first so you can help other people. So you got to make sure that you're breathing enough oxygen to keep yourself afloat, to keep everybody else afloat around you. It's that give and take.
I really like hearing a musician say that, because that's not something that I had ever considered being part of a musician's journey. Because like in the healing space, like I hold space for people, I facilitate programs, and it is very important that I give myself the time to like refill my cup, because I am in service of people at every function of Hiking My Feelings. But I hadn't thought about that as a musician, because when I think musician, like for me personally, I think musicians are some of the most fully expressed humans on this planet. And like I don't consider myself, I'm not a musician, nor should I be one. I am a fan of them. I think that they're fun people to be around, and I also think that they're fully expressed. But I've never stopped to consider that in the creation of music, whether it's for you or for someone else, that like as a person who is a function of so many different artists, that could be so depleting.
For sure. Like
how do you balance opportunity to be a gift and uplift your friends versus trying to build your own thing? Because especially as a musician, like the collaboration piece is such a big part of getting your name out and getting your music out, but like you also have to have your own music. So when people do discover you, they're like, oh shit, here's Man of the Forest catalog. Like this dude's got some sick stuff.
Yeah. There's this lyric in a Kevin Kinsella tune. Kevin Kinsella is from John Brown's Body, and he's one of my like heroes in music. But there's a lyric that says, "Work hard, don't complain, give your heart and not for blame, give something, something remain, go collect the trophy." So the key is you do have to give exponentially out for everybody else, because like it's all going to come back to you in tenfold. You know what I mean? What you give to yourself, it will expand greatly, but what you give to other people, it can make such a huge impact, and then they can spread it to other people. It's kind of like that Pay It Forward movie, where like you give something and they give it to 3 people and they give it to 3 people, and it expands out so huge. So the key is like if you keep lifting other people up as much as you can and saving something for yourself, you can't be empty in the gas tank. You know what I mean? Give something, something remain. But if you just keep giving to other people and save a little bit for yourself, what you give out is going to come back so much greater to you. It just takes patience too, though. Like you have to be able to wait and let it come to you. And that can be frustrating at times, because you're like, dude, I've given so much. Like, when am I going to get back what I've given? And, you know, time will tell with that.
Yeah.
So I think the key is you got to you can't be afraid to keep giving, no matter how broken down you get. The gift to uplift is like seeing the light that you can give in other people, the love that you can expand on other people. That is so huge and such a blessing to be able to be a part of.
Shit, yeah. My God.
Like what you guys do for people to be able to help them think about their lives, think about maybe some of the issues or some of the problems or quandaries that they have in their life, and to see them be able to at least like find rewards and succeed in small gains. That gives you something because you've helped somebody, and that's what the world needs is just to give help to other people.
Yes. And community and love and uplifting and all those things.
Yes.
All right, so shifting gears a little bit, what is your favorite national park or wilderness area that you've experienced so far in your life?
Colorado has my heart in a lot of places. It's like such an expansive place. There's so much diversity in Colorado. So national park wise in Colorado, I'd say like Black Canyon of the Gunnison, Mesa Verde, and Rocky Mountain National Park. Black Canyon of the Gunnison is one of the deepest and steepest canyons in the United States. It actually has the steepest grade of any canyon. And it's just like such an amazing thing to see this river carve
so down
over time. I mean, it started in the surface, and millions of years, it's like slowly, that patience thing, it's like slowly worked itself, and now all of a sudden it's a 2,000-foot ravine, and it's still going. That's a beautiful thing to see. Mesa Verde was really cool because it has like all these ancient cliff dwellings, and seeing how the natives built natural homes sustainably into the cliff sides. It was so amazing.
Sounds like Bandelier.
My goodness.
Down in New Mexico.
There's a few examples of it.
Yeah.
Mesa Verde is like a strange one because they built this huge city and then all of a sudden they were gone. And there's like no trace of what happened to them. So it's kind of a mystery. And Rocky Mountain National Park is like
just iconic.
It's ridiculous, like how much is in this small place, how many different things you can see in a small place. But outside of Colorado, I'd say Zion National Park is probably my favorite. I feel like when you're sitting on Angel's Landing, you're like looking at what God built with his bare hands, and you're like in his chair, and you're like, I did a really good job. You know, it's like one of those spots that you're just like, wow, like
the view from there is just insane.
You're in the center of this energetic field. It's amazing.
What's the like most physically exhausting outdoor activity you've done?
Hiking to the bottom of Black Canyon was very brutal. It was, I mean, I've done 14ers before. I know you guys have done Whitney, and have you done any other 14ers?
Nope, just Whitney.
Okay.
Went straight for the tallest one in the lower 48.
I even did 4 14ers in one day in Colorado, where you can hike up one and hit the saddles of each one and do 4. And that was pretty exhausting, but Black Canyon was specifically exhausting because you go down 2,000 feet. It's so easy to go down,
Right.
but it's so steep that when you come back up, you like underestimate how much energy it's going to take, and you chill down there, and like how much water you bring, and et cetera.
Yeah.
Like you kind of underestimate how much it's going to take to get back up. And on the way back up, it was full sun exposure. It was like all shale, like slippery. And I remember like just literally barely making it up to the top. And I was so grateful to just be alive and be able to like make it to the top and have like a homestead at the top with my tent. I remember it was the most exhausted I've ever been in my life.
What do they say at Bright Angel? We did Bright Angel at Grand Canyon, and there were signs going down, and because you go down, it's like going down is optional, coming up is mandatory. It's like, do not do this in a day.
For real.
And the only reason that we did it and didn't die was because it was November, and like the sun was so low that we were like in the shade for most of the day, and it was like high 20s, low 30s when we left the top of the canyon. But by the time we got down, I was like, it's like 70 degrees down here. What the heck is going on?
And you guys did that in a day?
In a day.
Yeah.
They don't recommend that. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't either. So if you're paying attention, don't do it.
That full day journey down the canyon, oh boy.
So did you stay down at the bottom and then like the next day hike out?
No, all on the
it's
same
all
day.
one day. Okay.
All on the same
yeah.
day. And there was like no
Gnarly.
ropes, there wasn't even a trail. Like it's just down a rain chute. And I remember I actually took a wrong turn, and I ended up by this like tumbled car that had fallen over the edge of the canyon. And I was like, I didn't see a car. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I way off trail, had to like go all the way back and then go back up. It was
Oh no.
It was fun though. I mean, those are humbling times, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
100%. All right. So I think that's, yeah. Any questions you want to ask this dude?
Let me think about it.
Okay. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you feel called to share?
Well, I think the key of what I'm doing right now is like playing with some of the most talented and unique musicians in the scene. So I just
Agreed.
want to give a shout out to Uplift, who got me my foundation. The guy's been in the scene for so many years. He's so humble. He's one of the funniest dudes I've ever met in my life. He's also my roommate. And he has given me every chance and every opportunity that I've had, from collaborations to playing on stage. Uplift is such a good dude, and his music is really like just something to appreciate. K-Bong and Johnny Cosmic, to be able to play with these guys, I've been a fan for so many years of what they do, and to be a part of what they're doing and to be able to collaborate with them on their songs and their content is a dream come true. They're some of the most gifted lights in the scene, and just some of the most amazing, like, heartfelt music that you've ever experienced.
Mm-hmm.
And Vaughn Aaliyah, like, she has a voice of an angel and the
Straight up.
spirit of one too.
Yeah. She's like the whole universe in the tiniest package.
And she's so cool too.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous how cool she
Vana,
is.
come be on. Talk to
Vana,
this guy.
Hiking My Feelings episode coming up next. But yeah, to be a part of those, it feels like I'm in such a centrifugal force of energy, and I'm always willing to collaborate with any artist out there. That's kind of my goal, is to spread the violin and to play with as many artists as I can in the scene, but to really be a key part of these artists. I feel like they're the best of the best, and I'm really proud of doing that. And bringing violin into reggae, it's kind of it can be a bit daunting at times to find the right space or to like make sure it fits. But I'm very proud of like my journey and bringing something new to the world in 2022.
Scraping our hearts.
It seems like a very hard thing to do something that hasn't been done before, but every day we have an opportunity to do something that hasn't been done before. You just got to think outside the box and just be willing to take chances and get out there and be a part of a community and just keep believing and just keep pushing on. So
He's right. You know that?
that's something to be proud of. I think we all do it. We just don't realize it, you know.
Well, and I think it's important to surround yourself with people that can recognize that and reflect it back to you. Because we can be really good at what we do, and if we operate in a silo, it's like it doesn't matter how much self-love I possess or how much work I do, there is still something incredibly powerful about external validation that and it's not even, and that's why like I'm trying to make this language shift, and I just caught myself, but like I think at the root, because like I'm like, oh my God, I miss external validation. I'm my own boss. Nobody gives it to me. What I actually want, actually, anytime I'm fussy, is I just want to be seen.
For sure.
And that's all any of us want. And like, I think that's why this music is so great, because it makes people feel seen.
Yep.
And I think that's why the lyrics are so good, because we identify with that. Like sonically, the music like takes you to another place, but lyrically, it's also like putting voice to either what we aspire to live to or what we are living to. And I really appreciate your path and where you're going with it. And so I'm curious, like, will there ever be, is this a goal, is this a vision for you? Like, is there a Man of the Forest album and tour where it's like you doing violin stuff, or is it more of like part of an ensemble?
I think right now my path is to be in an ensemble, just keep collaborating with other artists as I collect my own ideas. I've gotten like a later start than most artists have. Like I'm 32 and
Whoa, old guy.
I'm so old. But to think like most of these people have started playing music when they're 18 and 19 and songwriting and stuff like that. I just picked up a guitar 2 years ago and I feel like I've made a lot of progress. And I'm really proud of the songs that I've written, and there will be Man of the Forest album for sure. There will be Man of the Forest singles out there. And it'll be different music. It's not going to be reggae. It's not going to be classical. It's going to stretch all the way from blues to, like unconventional stuff. Like I really want to reach outside the box and hit different time periods and hit different sounds from across the world and integrate everything from wind chimes to violin to everything that I can sustain. But I think a Man of the Forest tour would be awesome, but I really enjoy being a part of somebody else's music because I think that my sound as a violin, it's so much greater as a part of somebody else's than just my own. And I would be very happy to like do violin as the center point and have my own content, but I think right now the mission is just to like spin it off in other people's directions because everybody has so much going on, and just to like help lift up their track just a little bit. I have a lot of lifting up of my own self to do with the music, so I'm excited to just keep collaborating with other artists and to slowly come out with my own content on the side.
Heck
so
yeah.
You'll definitely see it.
Heck yeah. All right, and then the last question. Oh, Mr. Williams.
So, stories from the road. Funniest, strangest, best Spinal Tap moment you've got.
So for any, I don't know if that caught, but we're looking for like just stories from the road.
Stories from the road. I would say one of the, like a real interesting time was the first tour with K-Bong and Von Aaliyah. We went all the way from Florida to California. Super long drives. It was exhausting. I couldn't believe like how long of a drive. Every day was like 6-8 hours, setting up for a couple hours, playing for a couple hours, tearing down, and then sleeping for a couple hours, and then on to the next city. It was so humbling to see like especially the younger bands, how much work they put into driving and hitting city to city. But I remember when we got to Texas and Arizona, the bus was starting to act up a little bit. And luckily, like a couple times, Eric and Drew in K-Bong, amazing musicians and amazing drivers as well. And I remember Eric was like, dude, the power steering is gone and the brakes are gone. And we're like driving down this like wicked construction stretch in Texas where it's like one lane and no exits, and he's like hitting the brakes and there's like no brakes and like no steering, and he's like cranking the steering wheel as hard as he can to get off this exit, and we pull over and we're like trying to get to Dallas or something. The bus is completely inoperable, so we had to like stop and get a U-Haul, pick up the trailer, hit the show, get the car fixed in the meantime, and then come back and pick up the bus and head to another city. Like, to make all that happen, to see everybody like be a community and a team. And like I remember me and Johnny Cosmic and K-Bong, and everybody was like lifting the trailer by hand, and it has all the music equipment. We're like lifting it, like slowly scooting it off the back, and it was hilarious in the end of it. But in the middle, I was just like, how are we gonna get this done? But like through resilience and teamwork, it was amazing to see. We made the show. We were just a little bit late, kept playing. We made the next city. That was definitely a time of tribulation, if I've ever seen one. I don't know, like funny, man, like just being on tour with Olympic is a comedy show in itself. That dude is like just a comedy show every second of the day. I mean, the scenarios that you run into with that guy and like just the things he says is literally just some of the funniest things. But I don't know, just being around everybody is such a trip. Like seeing everybody just goof around and just be themselves. Like when you're in a van with, 6 guys and everybody's like, it's like their house, you know what I mean? So everybody's just like kicking back and joking around and stuff. And to see everybody just like natural in their element, it's a really fun time to be like, I don't know, to be on the road and forced in a small van with each other for so long. You guys know. I mean,
We live it.
some of the funniest things happen because you're just around each other all the time, and everything is
Everything can be funny.
Yeah, everything is just like such an experience.
I dig it. All right, so my last question, if you had a magic wand and you can use this magic wand to bestow understanding across the global population, maybe you're making a behavior stop that's like trivial or, bad for society, what would you do with your magic wand and how would people benefit? You can also use your magic wand on yourself. There's no shame in
My magic wand is the violin. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah! Oh, it's very, you fed
That's
it.
a good one.
Okay,
That's a good
I
one.
like that, yeah. A magic bow, if you will. Is that what they call them? Violin bows?
It is a bow. Yes, it is
Yeah,
a bow, and it's not a fiddle. It's a violin.
Yep.
Fiddle's a style. No, I'm joking.
Is it?
That's well, yes. That's always like the classic question I get is like, is it a violin or a fiddle?
We should do another episode
a
where you just
violin.
break down violin myths.
There's a lot of them.
I was
Oh
going
my
to say, would it be
gosh.
short or long?
Can you play Devil Went Down to Georgia? What's the difference between a violin and a fiddle? And the third question I get when I'm playing the electric is like, what is that thing? It doesn't even look like a violin. So,
That is cool.
It's kind of a
When I
weird
saw it, I
instrument.
was like, that's slick looking.
all right, if I had a magic wand, I
Yep.
could bestow a power onto the people.
Yeah, or you could like, if you're like racism, out of here. Or you're like, everybody understands expanded consciousness and that we're all one. Like, I don't know, whatever. It's your magic wand.
I wish that just like universal love was like a something that everybody treasured more, because we experience it in like little pockets when we're with our family. That's universal love because we all come from like a same foundation, a same family. We understand our roots, but like as a world, we all come from the same community. And if we all just understood that we're all the same people in different versions, and outside of church or outside of a concert, like we find these little pockets where we feel a universal love, and that moment can be like some of the most amazing feelings, like when you're in a church and everybody is singing the same songs and you guys all believe, and everybody believes the same thing as a concert. These are like little times where we feel a universal love, but then we get back home and we work a job, and then we get frustrated when we're at work and everybody that passes by annoys you. Like if you can treat every day like it's church or your concert or Christmas with your family, I know it's impossible to do every day, but if you find like at least a moment to give that universal love to someone in need, I really think that would be like the trick, is just like give everybody a chance to spread love to one another through some small action, because it really only takes something small. Like we think we need to change each other's lives with this huge thing, like you got to buy someone a house, or you got to like, it's something small, like giving somebody an opportunity or even just a hug or the confidence that they're doing a good job in life. Like you said, you just want like value sometimes from an external source. We are that source for each other. So doing that for strangers can be just as important as doing it for your loved ones, because strangers are our families in the
Yes.
relative sense of the planet. So universal love. Have it. Sprinkle
He's
it.
doing it like this.
Dust it.
Dust it. All right. Anything else? All right, that's all I got. High five. Boom. That wasn't bad. You got anything else to say? Any funny jokes? This is like that.
I'm
This is like the part of the
horrible at
outro
jokes.
of the song where people are like,
The only
Where
jokes
they're
I
giggling?
have is like Drewby's joke, like,
"Where's my mouse?
what's a pig with 3 eyes called?
What is a pig with 3 eyes called?"
Pig. I know.
Adios, amigos.
What's a fish with no eyes called? Oh! See.
If you're curious about how to make your next hike a bit more mindful, visit hikingmyfeelings.org/subscribe to download our free Trail Thoughts worksheets.